All right, so today I'm going to be doing an 8 by 8 inch oil painting of some martinis. So this is a good opportunity for me to show you how I go about painting glass objects. When I first started painting, I was intimidated by painting glasses or glass objects. I think the hardest thing about them actually is just getting the geometry correct, especially if it's like something like a martini glass. That's the most difficult part of it. It's not, most of the glass is actually invisible, obviously. It might tint whatever's in the background, but it's really, the glass object is really defined by the highlights and then the little dark areas. But most of what you're seeing is just the background, maybe slightly tinted by the color of the glass. But anyway, let's just get started. Okay, so as usual, I'm sketching in burnt sienna, and I've just thinned the burnt sienna with a bit of odorless mineral spirits. And I'm using a straight edge to make sure that I get the edges of the martini glasses straight, because that is one of the features of the glasses. And so yeah, now I'm just mapping out the big shapes. No detail as usual at this point. Just making sure the glasses are in the right position. Make sure the olives are in the right position as well. And then once I've got the burnt sienna sketch done, I can roll back in my chair like 6 feet away and kind of just look at it and make sure everything seems okay before proceeding. And the drawing on this took a little bit longer just because glasses are hard to draw. So yeah, once I've got the sketch in, or all the big shapes in the right place, I can come in and start working dark to light. And so here I am, the dark greens, these blue greens are the darkest areas, so I'm starting off with them. And I'm using phthalo blue because I want to make sure that I have a nice contrast with the olive. So I have the blue green in the background and then the olive, the warmer olive green color for the olives. And so for the olives, I use ultramarine with a bit of cadmium yellow medium. So definitely a bit warmer. And then the highlights on the olive will be warmer too. So there I just put in the pimento, which will be that'll be a nice complement to all the greens in the painting. And also hoping to leave some of the orange, which will also be a nice complement. Leave some of the sketch visible at the very end of the painting. The biggest challenge here is on a small panel like this, like an 8 by 8, is keeping it, keeping the sketchy brushwork, that spontaneous feel in the brushwork, but also keeping the drawing solid. So that's the big challenge. It would be easier on a bigger panel, like say a 12 by 12 or something like that. But yeah, coming in with the background, and a lot of these colors are going to be adjusted. So, I'm putting in a fairly thin layer of paint. So this layer of paint is mostly just paint thinned with a little bit of mineral spirits. No medium at all. And I'm just trying to cover the panel, and then I can start judging what I need to do. And I'm not going to put the highlights in till the very end. So now what I'm doing is just kind of going in and adjusting the colors, looking for subtle color shifts, like say in the background color and then in the olive, also putting in the highlight there. And then I'm going to come in with a liner. I've got a number 4 synthetic liner brush that I will use like right here, coming in and reinforcing the darks around the pimento and just kind of cleaning up the shape of the olive. Again, trying to maintain that sketchy, spontaneous look. But, it's kind of a delicate balance, just deciding how much cleanup to do. Don't want to kill the energy of the brushwork and yet don't want it to be too loose. I probably err on the side of maybe being tighter than I'd want to be, but it's a personal thing, and it's typically what I do is I roll back and I make the decision from about 6 feet back, and I say, okay, how does this look? Can I live with the sloppy edge on the side of the glass, or whatever? And most of the time I say, nah, I want it to be cleaner. So again, it's trying to strike the right balance of sketchiness and control. That's right. You want to live at the edge of control and chaos I always say that's where the magic is. So now I am just adjusting some of the colors, lightening up, and looking for subtle shifts in the glass as well. Decided that the background needed to be lighter and bluer, so I came in and adjusted the background and lightened it up. And I think that makes the glass, the dark areas of the glass pop a little bit more as well. All right, first thing I want to show you this tool that I made here, which is basically just 2 bits of wood with a screw. I've got a pan head screw up here, and this allows me to adjust the angle. I'll like to set this on top of my computer, and I will get the angle of, like, say if I'm painting buildings, I'll get the angle of buildings, but in this case, obviously, it's the edges of the glasses. Easy tool to make. And then this is just plywood with a perimeter here that allows me to use a straight edge without touching the painting. The straight edge is about 1/8 of an inch off the surface of the painting. Okay, so I spent another half hour on this thing just kind of cleaning it up. Mostly what I did was make sure the geometry of the glasses was correct and then add the highlights or the reflections on the glass. One tip for drawing like glasses, these you can see through obviously because it's clear glass. But I always sketch out the whole top, the sort of ellipse of the top of the glass, even if the glass is opaque, because it helps you get the geometry of the top line correct if you actually sketch the whole ellipse. In this case, you can kind of see, the other side of the glass or, right here as well. But sketching the whole ellipse really helps you kind of get the geometry correct. So like I said, just putting highlights on which define the glass shape and then making sure that the darks are in the right area. This stem here was a little too far to the right, so I moved it over to make sure it was centered. Spent a little more time on the olive, just adjusting the colors there, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this little demo. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as usual, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. There is a Patreon link in the description below. If you got something out of this and you want to pitch in, it's much appreciated. Other than that, thanks for hanging out, guys. I will see you in the next video.